Hello, everyone. My name is Asim Chabra. I'm the festival director of the New York Indian Film Festival. Welcome. This is our 21st edition. The festival starts on June 4th and goes on until June 13th. It's 10 days of amazing films in 15 different languages spoken in India. And we have 58 films, about over 30 features, and the rest are shorts. All films are available in the US, some in North America also, which is Canada and Mexico, and some globally, including in India. Today, we're going to have a discussion on Where's Pinki, Pinki Ellie, which is a Kannada language film, and it's our opening film. And by the way, tickets are available at NYIFF.moviesaints.com. Pinki Ellie, Where is Pinki, is showing only in the US. But I hope people around the world, if they listen to this conversation, they may be able to access it later. Unfortunately, we couldn't, because of rights issues, show it outside US. It's a very, very powerful film in Kannada language. This is the first Kannada film that we are opening our festival with, and I'm very, very proud of the film. So I'll start off by bringing in the three panelists, and I will then leave. First of all, I'd like to invite Rajiv Kaul. Rajiv is a member of the board of directors of the Indo-American Arts Council, and which is the umbrella organization that runs the New York Indian Film Festival. So welcome, Rajiv.
Good morning from New York, Asim, and thank you very much for that kind introduction. I'm very excited to be part of this conversation.
And I know Rajiv liked the film a lot, so it'll be very interesting, the conversation. The second moderator, so Rajiv is one moderator. The second moderator is Harish Malia. Harish is a film producer. He's a blogger. He's a very well-known writer, journalist, personality in the Kannada film world, really. And Harish is in Bangalore. Welcome, Harish.
Thanks, Asim. Thanks for the opportunity for moderating this session. It feels very proud to have a Kannada film opening for NYIFF. Thank you.
And finally, we have the director of the film, Prithvi Konanur. And Prithvi, I just want to tell people that I saw Where is Pinki at the Film Bazaar in November 2019, and I loved the film so much. And immediately after that, I started writing to you saying that I would love to show it at the New York Indian Film Festival. Of course, at that time, we didn't know about the pandemic. We thought we would do a physical festival in 2020, which didn't happen. And for reasons, the film was not finished, and you wanted another premiere. We were not able to show it last year, but I'm so happy that we were finally able to get the film this year. And I'm really it's an amazing film, Prithvi. Congratulations. I'm really happy that we can open the festival with that, and our audience in the US. I think it's a US premiere, right, Prithvi?
Yeah, it is the US premiere. Thank you, Asim. Thank you, Rajiv and Harish. I'm glad that Pinki Ellie is being chosen as the opening film at the New York Indian Film Festival. I remember you have been communicating with me for the last 1 year, and since the international sales and distribution is with another organization. Now the film has already traveled quite a bit, across the world, and finally it's going to have its US premiere at NYIFF, and I'm really happy about it.
I'm very persistent, and I like something, I get it. I can wait 1 year. All right, so I'll go backstage now. It's over to all three of you. Rajiv will start, and Harish will take over then, so both of them can alternate with the conversation. So good luck, everybody, and I'll be listening to the conversation. Thank you. Yeah.
Thank you very much, Asim, and good to meet you, Harish and Prithvi both. I watched this movie about 2 weeks ago, and then I watched it again 2 days ago. It's quite a story, and for lack of a better word, I'll call it a real movie in the sense that it shows the dark underbelly of the human nature, and so the first question to you, Prithvi, is it based on a real incident or a story? Is it something on real characters? I'm sure there is something to that. So I'd like you to tell our audience what is behind this movie.
Well, the entire story is basically a work of fiction. However, the idea behind the story, that is a baby being rented out for begging, that is a true story. That is something that had happened in Bangalore a few years ago, and that had remained in my mind. The idea was actually kind of incubating in my mind, and I was developing it over the years. Finally, with a bit of research and other things, I was able to get the things together, and that's how the script happened. But this is a complete work of fiction. All the characters, everything is it's just a figment of imagination. Yeah, the incidents, the idea of a baby being rented out for begging, that's the only true part in this entire film.
Okay. Harish, I'll ask one more question, then I'll hand it over to you. So the film shows the dark side of human nature, but at the same time, it ends on a very hopeful note for the main character of the movie. I think the main character of the movie is the Pinky's mom, and she has chosen in the end to go her own way and not compromise with the life choices which she has made. And in that you have shown this movie to be ending on a positive note and on a hopeful note. So, question for you is. Is that the message you wanted to convey to your audience, or is there something else which we are missing? What is the overarching theme of this movie?
See, whenever I develop a script, whenever I develop an idea into a screenplay, I don't really think in terms of message or an overarching idea or anything like that. The primary focus of my writing is always about telling a good story. Now, when you have to tell a good story, I ask myself the question: what is a good story? One, it has to be original, and two, it has to be authentic. That means both in terms of characters and in terms of ideas, in terms of details. I have to do a little bit of research. I have to be a little bit creative. I have to look. I have to go into the minds of these characters, and I have to go, if possible, I have to try to go into the underbelly of the society and see what's happening and what I can take as an idea into this script. So fundamentally, my idea is always to tell a good story. Beyond that, if it conveys a message, if it if there is some philosophy, some idea, that is a bonus. The primary idea to me always is to tell a good story, an original, authentic story.
Okay, over to you, Harish.
Thanks, Rajiv. Prithvi, namaskara. ಅಮೆರಿಕದ ಎಲ್ಲ ಕನ್ನಡಿಗರು ಯಾರ ಸಿನಿಮಾ ನೋಡ್ತಾರೆ ಅವರ ಪರವಾಗಿ ಪಿಂಕಿಯಲ್ಲಿ ತಂಡದವರಿಗೆ ಹೃತ್ಪೂರ್ವಕ ಸ್ವಾಗತ. ಸೊ ಅದನ್ನ ಹೇಳ್ತಾ ಕಂಟಿನ್ಯೂ ಮಾಡ್ತೀನಿ. ಸೊ ಐ ಜಸ್ಟ್ ವೆಲ್ಕಮ್ಡ್ ಪೃಥ್ವಿ ಇನ್ ಕನ್ನಡ. ಸೊ I would just like to tell an incident, what happened during this, the real incident which happened in 2009, I believe. The entire this maid system was some kind of a support for people who were working in software, like both husband, wife going out and somebody taking care of the child. But when this incident came up, so the entire thing was shattered, and then people had a relook on this, and some of my colleagues started installing CCTV cameras at their house, and some even got to see that okay, their babies are not even taken care in the correct manner. So I agree that Prithvi was disturbed by this incident, and I always think that whenever there is a disturbance, that leads to some kind of agitation and storytelling. And I'm glad that he picked up this theme and made quite a good narrative. And I just want to ask him that people will watch this film for there is this baby which is lost, but then there are a lot of other things, a lot of other layers that he brings in. I just want to know, like, how did all those come up? How did he knit all these things and come up with a narrative?
Well, you see, I always tell people that ideas don't come in packages. You have some ideas in your mind, maybe just a tiny visual in your mind, and then you pursue it. You have to actively pursue it. I'm talking about the practical aspect of it. I'm not trying to go beyond that. I'm not trying to be philosophical or anything. In reality, when you're developing a story, you have an idea. It may be a high concept idea, or it just may be a visual in your mind, or in this case, a news article that I have read, and then you have to pursue it. When you are pursuing such an idea, such a theme or whatever, uh, I do. I mean, I look at a couple of things. One, I have to look at how I have to create these original characters, and then I look at how should I create these original circumstances for all these characters. And then I also look at things that people. I try to look, discover things that people have not seen before. Like, let's say, a profession, or a type of an environment where people live, that hasn't been explored before. So that's how the whole idea begins. It's never, you start with an idea, simple idea, and when you're doing this, you come across these, you in your mind at least, you create these characters, and you come across these people who are working in certain circumstances. You bring those circumstances and people, characters, into your story, and then try to give it a shape. That's the whole idea, and it takes a lot of time. Sometimes it works quickly, sometimes an idea develops in within a few days, few weeks. But in other cases, like in this case, it took me several years, actually. That doesn't mean to say that I was working on these things. That doesn't mean to say that I was sitting every day and writing this script for 10, 15, 30 minutes. No, that's not how it works. But in your mind, the idea is there, and then you try to research, you try to talk to people, you try to see which direction you can take the story towards. And that is how all these characters, circumstances, and realities come together in your script.
Yeah, thank you, Prithvi. And the other thing, I think people will keep on asking you, like, you had Railway Children and now you have Pinki Ellie, which are both about children. So most of the films, how we see children in the films are quite different, right? So, but in Railway Children, we saw children in great difficulty, pain, and even in Pinki Ellie, it's not so happy for the baby over there, right? So what is this? Means, like, why do you feel that these kind of stories need to be told?
Well, actually, I don't feel that only these kind of stories need to be told. And another thing is, I don't really consider Pinky to be, a children-centric film.
Yeah.
There is a baby that goes missing, and that baby is mostly there. That's all. It's mostly, in a way, a prop. The story is all about the characters surrounding the baby, and the baby. I mean, it's hardly visible in the entire film. In fact, if you actually look at the screen time the baby occupies, it's probably 4 or 5 minutes, less than that. And yeah, the baby has significance as as an individual, but then the story is about the people surrounding the baby. Of course, in Railway Children, it was about these children who are who survive around the railway station slums, and they get into all sorts of trouble, and their life, how they get there and how they get out of there. That was the whole idea behind Railway Children. But here it's more about these adult characters surrounding the baby, how the society would, I mean, at least in my imagination, how the society would try to take advantage of this baby, or at the same time, while taking advantage of the baby, how they will want to protect the baby also. Because in this film, while most of them want to take advantage of the baby, none of them want to harm the baby. They all want to protect the baby and make sure that the baby reaches a safe place. So this film is more about the characters that are surrounding that particular baby, and I wouldn't call it in any way a children's.
Yeah, I think that's a very good way of putting it, and I hope people watch the film in that sense. It's, like how the characters around the baby play a role over here. And most important thing that I liked in this film was how you humanize all the characters over here. Like, there's no stereotypical ideal person over here, or there is nobody that who is very bad or villainish. Like, everybody is have their own gray shades, and they are a victim of the situation they are in. Right now, could you please put some light over how these characters were developed and how you could put them in this position? And also, the other part is about the viewer has the empathy towards the characters who come in the film. So could you also please elaborate on these things?
Well, to be frank, that is the very fundamentals of screenwriting. When you're creating a character, you want to create them to have gray shades. They're neither white nor black. I know I have made those mistakes in the past, creating these black and white characters, but hopefully not in the future. Yeah, that's the whole idea. It's the very basic idea behind any storytelling, that any character that you create has to have gray shades, and they should not end up being on either side of the spectrum. Uh, that is one thing. Another thing is, see, when somebody is watching a story like this, when somebody is seeing these characters do what they do, they have to empathize with those characters. So if they have to empathize with those characters, then no matter how negative the character may seem on the outside, they have to have shades of positivity. Similarly, no matter how positive a character seems in the beginning, as the story moves, they have to see that no character is pure. They all have shades of gray, just like you, me, anybody in this world.
Yeah.
So that's the whole idea behind creating such characters. And yeah, like I said, I have not really done justice to my characters in my previous films. I have made those mistakes. In this, I was able to correct that, and hopefully in the future, I'll be able to keep it up.
Yeah. For me, Sanamma was kind of a central character for in the film. Like, most of the other characters have their own kind of problems, but Sanamma, I see her feeling more guilty apart from the other characters. Like, was it how it was meant to be perceived, or like?
Well, see, as the script was written, Sanama's character was supposed to be slightly a tougher person. She was supposed to be, I mean, she had, that care for the baby. Yeah, she had rented out the baby for begging, that's all there. But yet, behind the scenes, she always cared for the baby. She wanted to benefit out of the baby, but then she cared for the baby. But as per the script, at least, she was supposed to be a slightly tougher person, like a loudmouth person. But you see, what happens is when I make films and when I do auditions on the streets, you have to sometimes, not sometimes, very often, you have to change your characters to suit the actors that you are hiring. So it so happened that that Kunjalama, who played Sanama, was a very mild-mannered, person, uh, and of course she was doing the same job, taking care of babies in different households. So because of that, I had to change the character a little bit from what was initially conceived in the script. So from a loud-mouthed, very strong-willed woman, she became a very mild woman with a lot of guilt. That much of guilt was not there in the script. That came from the actor, actually. So some of the credit should go to Kunjalama, who plays Sannamma.
So Rajiv?
Yeah. So
Yeah.
I want to move from film to Prithvi, and then from Prithvi to Kannada cinema, and where it is today. So first of all, for our global audience, just tell us about who you are. And I came to know that you are from a software background, and how that transition took place from coding to movie making. So just educate me and educate our audience to who you are.
Well, basically, I have done my engineering in electronics and communication from Mysore. And then, like any typical, middle class youngster, I went on to work for a software company, and then I was living in Cyprus for a while, working for an Israeli company actually. However, that was never, my intention. That was never my passion. So I wanted to become a filmmaker from a very young age. So when I was in Cyprus, I started writing scripts, mostly, directed towards Hollywood. So one of my horror screenplay, it's a bit of a science fiction supernatural horror screenplay, got optioned. I don't know how many people are aware of the word option. They can Google and find out what is the optioning of a literary work. So it got optioned for a Hollywood film by a UK-based production company. Quite a well-known Hollywood horror director was attached to it. A couple of stars were attached to it. The project was in development, but then at some point it got stuck. So the producer of the film suggested that I go to New York Film Academy, and because my interest was also in direction, not just in writing. So I went to New York Film Academy. I did a course, a 2-month long course in Los Angeles, not in New York. And then I came back, I made a short film, and then my first film was for the Children's Film Society of India, Mumbai, which is under the federal government of India. Then I made Railway Children, and then I made Pinki, and then hopefully I should be able to start my next film once this lockdown and other things subside.
Okay, quite an interesting background. I know the southern Indian cinema scene is quite strong. I know that the most number of movies are made in Telugu in India, and I'm sure Kannada is not far behind. And the way I think about Kannada cinema, because obviously I've not seen any Kannada movies, but I have seen strong character actors, not character actors, actually actors. Girish Karnad, Anant Nag is somebody who I saw growing up in a movie called Kalyug. He just played such a strong role. I don't know whether any one of you have watched that movie. I recommend very, very highly. Just a terrific, terrific actor. And so was Girish Karnad. I think he was just superb actor. So just tell our audience what the state of Kannada cinema is, how many movies are made, and who are the main players on the scene today, and just describe to us what it is today.
You're asking something that I don't know. I will try a little bit.
Yeah, sure. Harish can add to your point. Sure.
Yeah. So you can go ahead.
So the idea is to make us all educated about state of Kannada cinema.
See, I think Kannada films. It was actually quite strong in the 90s, and during the 90s and towards the early 2000s, I think there was a bit of a dip. For whatever reason, I don't know what the reason was, but there was a bit of a dip. And I think in the last few years, we are seeing a comeback. But I think there is one thing that is lacking in Kannada films, that is, just honest storytelling without the embellishment of stars or, other things. But I think there is a lot of scope for that to improve. The films that I make, of course, there are hardly any stars in my films, and in the future films also that I have planned, I don't think there will be any stars, at least in parallel cinemas that I intend to make. See, this is something that we have to learn a little bit from Marathi film industry, because in Marathi, somebody told me, and I have observed a little bit, in that direction. Not many films with stars have succeeded. I mean, sorry, the opposite. Films with stars have not really succeeded. Okay. Films without stars and with content have been succeeding for the last few years. Now, the reason why I use the word star is only to distinguish between a star and an actor. If there is a star who is an actor, that's fine. There is no, that's welcome always. But if that is not the case, then such films, I am not really something that's going on right now in the Kannada film industry. With we have a lot of films that are opposite to that. Some of the films that are coming up in the last few years that are without stars, but with good content. But I think that has to increase in numbers. And most importantly, we need the support of the producers, which is hardly there. Now, if you compare, let's say, a Kannada parallel film to a parallel film that is made in Tamil, Malayalam, or Marathi, the kind of budget that they get is at least 3-4 times more than the kind of budget that we get. That means the story suffers. I'm not saying that budget is the only criteria for making a good film. But when you have a good story that requires a certain kind of a budget, and if you're not getting supported by the producers, then you can't make such films. Or such, even if you make such films on a small budget, it will just look bad on screen. That is something where the industry needs improvement, and for that. The whole mindset has to change. There is this idea that parallel cinemas are just meant for state government subsidy or awards, and then nothing else happens. That is wrong, actually. You make a good film, it works. It works commercially also. Even in case of Pinki, for example, it was picked up by a Berlin-based agency, and the film has already recovered the money that has been invested into it, and still there is more money to come. So commercial success is there, but the producers need to understand that, and that is where we need a lot of improvement in Kannada films. Otherwise this has been happening in the last 5-6 years. I would say that starting, I would give a lot of credit to the film Tithi. It started with that. I would say that people started investing a little more in parallel cinema, but I think it has to happen even more in numbers and in terms of budget.
Harish, you want to add to what Prathi said about the state of Kannada cinema?
I agree to what he says. I used to watch Kannada films in the 90s, but in the 2000s there was a dip. I remember I didn't go to theaters for watching any film. The reason being the quality had a dip. There were the same stories that were told again and again. And there were a lot of remakes, remakes from Hindi, Tamil, and Kannada, which got us a bit frustrated, and we kept away from going to theaters. But then from last 8 or 9 years, I can say that it has again, there are some efforts which are made to bring Kannada industry to shape. But as Prithvi says, we need more of them. Like in a year, we can see only 2 or 3 films that are happening like that. And most of the films that are made over here cater to an audience which we call as the fan following, or the star following fans. So we have to kind of move from that, give opportunity to more filmmakers who are telling different kind of stories. So that onus is on the producers as well as the audience to enable the filmmakers and give them a platform to make different kind of films. Only then I think we can compare ourselves with whatever Prithvi says about Marathi films or Malayalam films, which are very popular now.
So coming back to our film, Where is Pinki, right? I'm assuming it was all shot in Bangalore or in Karnataka. You didn't go outside the state, right? Right, Prathi?
Yes. Yeah, it was completely shot in Bangalore, actually.
Okay. And Bangalore is quite a big center for movie making now in southern India, or not that much?
I would say yes. Yes, I would say yes. In terms of movie making, yes, it is definitely one of the major centers, not just because of Kannada films, but even a lot of Tamil, Malayalam films and even Telugu films are being shot in Bangalore because of the IT tag that Bangalore has received. A lot of these films, in fact, I was surprised to know that a lot of Malayalam films are being shot in Bangalore, actually, for Probably for that reason, I don't know. But so yeah, I would say that Bangalore is definitely one of the major centers in South India. No doubt about that.
So in the end, I just want to tell our audience that why I like the movie was because the young woman who is faced a lot of adversity in her life, despite all the societal challenges, family pressures, she always is doing what she feels is right for her. Right? I mean, she goes out and not actually divorces, but separates from her husband and lives with a young man who's not married to her, and then and in the end decides to give up the baby for the welfare of the baby for the short time to her mother-in-law, and decides to leave her boyfriend because boyfriend did not support her at the right critical juncture in her life. So uh, I thought that that character came out very, very strongly to me, and I kind of related to her. And Prathi, you did a very, very good job, and very, very happy that this movie is being played as our opening night movie, and we hope that this movie succeeds beyond what it has already achieved. And and Harish, if you want to say something, then I'll say goodbye to our audience. And if you want to add something to what I just said.
Yeah, so as I said earlier, it's a very happy moment for us that a Kannada film is opening in New York Indian Film Festival. And I just wanted to ask Prithvi that this film has a very good festival run so far. And now, what are the plans for the Kannada audience to watch the film? Like, is a theatrical release planned, or is there a release on any OTT platform so that people can watch?
Well, actually, you see, the idea was to release the film in cinemas, but a couple of things. One, we wanted to wait for the national awards to be announced because that gives a lot of media attention and a PR push for the film. Because otherwise, I'm telling you, apart from a few people who are talking about the film, most people in Karnataka or India have not heard of the film. Because there is very little to some little to nil, almost nil media coverage about the film, despite reaching all the many major film festivals. So we're waiting for the national film awards to be announced. And another thing is the pandemic. So I don't know how this is going to play out. If hopefully if this the cinemas open, let's say by August September, and by then the national awards are announced, then there is a plan to release the film in cinemas. And afterwards, of course, we will be looking at OTTs and TV channels also. So that's the whole idea, to bring the film to audience in Karnataka.
Thank you.
So, Prithvi and Harish, on behalf of IAAC and New York International Film Festival, I'd like to thank you both for your time, and Prithvi, especially to you for allowing us to show your movie as our opening night movie. And we all hope that this goes way beyond where it has gone so far. Thanks a lot. Have a good one, everybody. Take care.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.